Good morning, it's Thursday again, and it's Blabbing for Britain with myself and John. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning. It's good to be here today on a historic day when the UK votes whether to remain or leave the EU, but we can leave that till later. The gang's arriving.
Hello, boys. How are you?
We're fine, thank you, Stephen. Good to see you.
And you.
All right. Okay.
In case we have any problems, Stephen, could you turn us down into H's?
Yeah, we'll turn you both into H's. No problem at all. Just wait for that to take effect. Yeah, okay, so that's one, and give you some lights as well, Stephen. Two. Right. Okay. So we whatever happens, whoever drops out.
Well, we can go back on the air.
All right. And good morning, Nasim.
Hi, Nasim.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good to see you.
A lot of expectations over here in Italy about what's going on today.
What are the feelings in Italy?
I don't know. People, there's a lot of people that open up companies in England. So most of the people that I've spoken to, they're concerned about what the impact would be on their current state of business relations, having set up a business in London and things of that nature. I think it's too early to know that. And it's probably going to take a while if remaining or leave or whatever happens to understand it.
Yeah. I mean, I was in Maine over the weekend, and people were curious as to why it was happening. So I did attempt to explain it. In actual fact, I did a broadcast with Leland the other night.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I missed it.
The replay's there. I attempted to explain what Brexit was.
Right.
But I mean, we're fortunate today in that there is a news blackout on Brexit from 3 a.m. till 10 p.m.
That's pretty smart.
We've got a sort of politics-free zone while we.
That's pretty smart, I think.
Vote.
When does the voting polls close? At 10 o'clock tonight?
10 o'clock tonight.
10 o'clock tonight.
And then we have Mr. Dimbleby will appear on the BBC, and he will lead us through the count. Because it's been done the same way as the constituency count, isn't it?
Yeah.
So all the votes will go to the town halls in 650 towns throughout the UK, and the votes will be counted, and then the results forwarded to the election headquarters in the BBC, and we can watch as
now. Will the Queen have to announce something tomorrow?
No,
nothing. That's not connected at all.
What's not been sort of publicised is when Scotland voted.
Right.
To secede from the UK. If they had voted yes, straight away, a law would have come into being, which had already been passed by Parliament, and they would have started the independence road.
Wow.
There's a law there. They voted no. So nothing happened. In this case, there are no laws waiting to be enacted if we vote exit, leave.
Right. So they haven't prepared for the eventuality of what will happen.
Yeah. The plan isn't to exit till 2020, even if they vote exit.
No.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's not everything's turned off tomorrow. We're no longer part of the European Union.
It makes sense that there would be a transition period, obviously.
So the interesting thing is that this referendum is not legally binding on the government.
That's the one, Stephen.
It's not legally binding on what?
On the government. They could, if they wish, ignore it.
A very tired Mr. Cameron yesterday in a supermarket doing an impromptu speech, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, I was elected to be Prime Minister of this country and decide what's best for this country. Whilst the country can advise me what to do, it is my decision as to whether we actually go ahead and follow the people's advice.
Bloody hell.
It doesn't matter though. He's gonna win anyway. So
details.
detail. Yeah, it's mad, really.
It is a little bit mad because if you do a referendum, you want to give people the power of decision. But then if there's like a major judge above that says, well, we were just joking around. Now, that comes back to what happened in, I think it was Ireland, in which they had a referendum and they were like, no, we're not going to be part of the community. And then that was overlooked and they somehow did it 2 or 3 times. So finally they were forced at gunpoint to be part of the European Union.
If you don't vote right the first time, then you've got to vote again. And that
exactly. There must have been a miscount.
In Belgium or Holland, one of the two, you've got to keep voting until you agree with your parliament.
Well, at least, I mean, in this pseudo system of where the people have the voice, you have that option. Here in Italy, it was not like that. It was like, we're in the euro. And everybody's like, really?
There was no referendum about it. You just joined.
In Italy, there was no referendum whatsoever.
Wow.
And we found ourselves in 2001 inside the euro. And everybody's, all of the advantages, because if we were not part of this, we would definitely be like Argentina. At the time, there was a comparison with Argentina because Argentina was going through, their financial turmoils. And so it was kind of, that's so I admire the fact that you all have the option of voting. I think it's I'm obviously not being English, but I've gone there quite a lot, and I've worked in Southampton with princes and stuff. There is a very strong British love for the nation that you kind of fear that, okay, if we're part of Europe, do we lose those traditions? Do those traditions get sacrificed or derailed into? And I don't think that each country has this also. It's like, okay. I mean, if you look in France, it's like all the cheesemakers. No, they're not going to touch our cheese. They're not going to make it, pasteurized and boring. So, but those are little details. I mean, but there's a much stronger feeling, and I think also the pent up immigration issue that each country is living is quite difficult, and that adds and the loss of jobs and I mean. If you look at the UK, also this started back with Thatcher when all the mines closed up and this whole feeling of not having some stability.
Yeah. I mean, we are an inclusive society, and until this referendum came about 2 months ago, the far right had a very small voice.
Right.
Those who were against immigration totally.
Right.
The situation is, for the last 2 months, they've been able to say and get away with whatever they want to say. What do you feel? Or should we not comment until after 10 o'clock?
Yeah. By the way, I bought Nigel Farage's book about 2 years ago, just for an interesting read.
Okay. Was it? What? It's an interesting read?
Yeah, sort of. I kind of, at the time when I read it, I was like, this guy's pretty, he's saying things that make sense. But then I've been following him lately, and it's kind of like, whoa, a little overboard in my taste.
Well, following some of the posts and some of the conversations on Facebook between people who come over from Germany and France to live in the UK, and some of them have got British passports, they feel that in the past couple of months, things have got very nasty, and they were being told, no uncertain terms, to go home.
Really?
The vibe has been there. I mean, I'm on the inside track for that.
Stephen, this is very similar to what I'm hearing. You know that over here I have a web agency and we do major work with big companies. Everybody here is going to Berlin. Italians are all escaping because Berlin is where all the startups are. And talking to the people that are in the business, they said we're starting to get a lot of backlash lately in Berlin. Yeah. People, it's not anymore like the Italians are starting like, oh wait, no. So I think this will typically happen in a lot of setting environment. I mean, London, there's a flux of immigration that is very big, and it's an expensive city. It's the financial capital of Europe, in my opinion. It is. So. Tensions do starts. You can understand certain backlashes because I was born in, for example, if you were born in England, this is my home, and why are we in a situation like this? But I think we're seeing the same thing in America. If you look at Donald Trump's campaign, it's all based on this really rhetoric of the Mexicans and they got to leave and this and that, and it's all negative, and I think it does fuel the fires of the nationalistic, extreme right wing groups. That is kind of like.
We're not proposing to build a wall. We already have a sea.
We've already got a wall. We've got a wall. It's up in the north. It's called Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah.
And the Romans did it for us.
Dots out. Peter and the like out.
Now, on another comment, I'm wondering if the UK, England plays today, doesn't it? Or do they play today?
No.
We play Iceland on Monday, Tesco's on Thursday.
He probably doesn't know who these are.
Can I confess that I was very happy last night when Northern Ireland beat Italy and they passed because it was a great game, and it was
Republic of Ireland.
Yes. Excuse me.
It was amazing, absolutely amazing to watch. They were so.
Plus, the fans are fantastic. So
your
heart goes out to them. You're like, yes, bring them in. What the hell?
Yeah.
It was quite interesting that we've got Iceland now, because before the match and they became our opponents, Roy Hodgson came out and said, "We will do better against the greats of Europe," and we draw Iceland.
Yeah.
Now let's not knock Iceland, which, if you look at the history of Iceland, it's a population that basically told the banks to go fuck themselves.
Indeed.
And also the prime minister and the government, and it's obviously Iceland is Reykjavik is a different type of approach. The population it's a much smaller population base. Everybody knows everybody, so you can't really mess around too much because and that's why they were able to conquer back their country in a certain way and come out of crisis.
Have a professional football league either.
Exactly.
And they're sure in midfield.
You know what we're reaching here, John and Stephen and Stephen, is we kind of like the underdog.
Iceland aren't the underdog; they're the favourites, according to the book.
No. My opinion, the favourites are Spain. In fact, I really have serious doubts that Monday Italy's going to beat Spain. I really have serious doubts.
No, that is a big match.
That is a big match.
Two of the Titans playing together.
Saturday is Wales versus Northern Ireland. The Battle of Britain 2.
Those are great. I love those. I love the build-up to those too.
That is going to be fun to watch.
Yes.
It is.
Great. So anyway, are we gonna have a show tomorrow so we can wrap up what's going on today's? Yes.
Should we?
This is episode 32, and if I forget it, you do it on a weekly basis, right?
Yeah, we do it. It's every Thursday.
So
we might do an impromptu one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like you do at the news thing.
Newsflash.
Breaking blabbing from Britain.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep it live through the night as the results coming. So we won't find out until about 3 a.m. I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, they reckon it's later than that now, don't they?
Initial counts.
Well, they can't declare until after all the votes are in, but you should get some indication by early morning.
Last Sunday we had the elections for mayors in Rome and Milan, and the funny thing, the polls closed at 10. No, they closed at 11. And they already had the results by 1 o'clock. It was done deal. So luckily we got a semi. We didn't get the Berlusconi bunch to win the mayor of Milan. He had his candidate and he lost by 3 percentage points. So we're all quite happy.
Right. Okay. So that's good news then.
That is great news because they were linked up with the Northern League group of people. You guys know about the Northern League here, Bossi and all those fine folks. Anyway, great joining in. I'm super happy for the update, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Great, Nasim. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Bye. All right. Oh, gone international. Brilliant.
Oh, we have been international.
European, no less. No, European.
Indeed. And we should stay there. Anyway. Right. Okay. Now, what do you think about British motorway service stations? Would you be surprised to learn that one of them is made the shortlist for the RIBA Building of the Year 2016? And can you guess which motorway service station it is?
Gloucester.
You already knew, didn't you?
No, but I've been there. The one with the farm shops.
Morning, Peter. It is. I mean, it's actually. Have you been there, Stephen?
No.
Right. Okay.
I try to avoid motorway service stations like the plague.
Incidentally, I kind of get Stephen because it says make sure your connection isn't blocked by a firewall, unable to network error. But I'm getting you two.
You right? Okay. That's just a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
That may come right. It may come right. If it doesn't, just refresh, Peter, and come straight back into the seat.
Okay.
We don't know what to expect on these occasions. If three of us disappear, then we've got problems. But
okay.
Just press refresh. Yeah, Gloucester are in the 46 now. Gloucester is not really a service station, is it? You couldn't from the outside. All you've got set under a grass dome, which sheep graze on, is the facade set into. How would you describe it, John?
A bloody big glass wall.
Yeah.
That's fronting. It's a bit like a giant hobbit's home.
That's a good description. It's got. I mean, basically, the quality of the services is good food at reasonable prices, but it's the shops. They've got farm shops in there.
Butchers, everything.
Butchers, yeah.
No chain.
It's run by a local firm, isn't it? I mean, it's run by the people who run Tebay services.
Yeah.
Which until Gloucester arrived, Tebay was the best services in the UK. Which you've passed through many times, Peter.
They're Cumbria Tebay services.
I think yes, yeah. Is that how Tebay? I called it Tebay.
Tebay, yeah.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to sit there, and it's a nice looking out onto the water, etc. So yeah, I've walked in.
Tebay was built by the local farmer.
Ah, right, okay. Well, I'll tell you something else I've noticed in Perth. When I went into not in Perth, Stirling Services, I went in there the other week, and it's completely changed. The old food that you used to get, it's for the younger people. You can see how it's changed now. They've got the Costa coffee there. Yeah. They've got the Burger King or whatever it is. Not McDonald's, Burger King.
Get the brands in, Peter. Get the brands in.
Marks and Spencers. It's really freshened it up, you know. Really freshened it up.
It has. But I mean, I love the French service stations on the motorways in France. They're a different world, and when you ask for food there, you know you're going to get fresh cooked, beautiful food. And the other thing about the French service stations is that they have more of them, but not necessarily with all the services. I mean, if you're driving down to, say, you drove from Calais to Nice, so you're going on the autoroute, then you'll find services every sort of 15 miles or so, and it's just a pull off. Yeah. And you pull off into the woods, and there's a toilet and water and whatever you need, and you can just sit there and relax in the woods. And it's good. We don't have any of them.
I thought that in America too, but they had Coca-Cola machines and everything there, and beware of bears.
Well, yes. We don't get bears in Gloucester.
Have I spoke to you since I come back from Berlin?
Yes, but
I was last week. Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm getting confused as well. time flying so quickly at the moment.
Yeah. So,
right. Okay. Right. We'd better do, well, let's do Blab news. But there is no Blab news. Nothing's happening. Except for Social Media Marketing World, who averaged 300 viewers on here, did their last show on Blab last Friday. They're moving, and they've moved to appear.in, and will be broadcasting out to Facebook from there. So they have 4 talking heads, and not sure about the interaction, but Blab has lost its biggest show, really. Jonathan Tripp is still on huzzameup.io, which is where everybody's migrating to. And the gentlemen who started it have realized this, and they have brought in special pricing. If you want to join Huzza.io, then you go straight there. And if you go to pricing, for $14 a month US, you can have your own show, and that's $14 monthly, and you can have up to 50 people watching. Now, from a stability point of view, from a quality point of view, Huzza is better than Blab. From a chat point of view, it's not. I'm trying it out at the moment, and we'll see where it goes from there. And also, if you're looking at Firetalk, we did our first Across the Pond show on Firetalk earlier this week, and that went very well too. That was largely through an American audience who were there to learn about Britain and things British.
Isn't there a special code on one of the Facebook groups which makes it $9.99 a month?
Yeah, the code is. I better spell it correctly, haven't I?
Helpful.
huzzameup. It takes the price from $14 down to $9, as Stephen said, and for £6 a month. You know, if you're doing the occasional show.
I do remember the criticism of Huzza was that it didn't have a sort of a social aspect or an announcement aspect, and the guys came back quite well by saying, well, hold on a minute, it's a platform for people to talk and to have meetings and to chat like we are now, and that the social or the distribution of the event is down to the user, which was a good way of limiting the sort of scope of the product, which maybe they'll introduce in the future, but it was a way in which they're trying to guarantee the quality of the chats by not letting anybody sort of jump in and make a noise. I thought it was quite refreshing to hear a product vendor talk like that.
I mean, the thing is that we always get people saying you should build your list in marketing, don't we?
Yeah.
And on Huzza, people view your shows by entering your email address.
Yeah.
So you're actually, you'd have to do a double opt-in later, but you've got a situation where you're actually getting people's email addresses as they come to watch the show.
And there are so many services out there for managing your list, managing your relationships. They don't see the need to incorporate that within their product offering.
Yeah, but what I'm saying as well is basically you're signing up with your email address. And what happens then, unless you turn notifications off, is 30 minutes before the show starts, you get a notification. So if a show from here went to Huzza and you signed up for it with your email address, 30 minutes before the show starts, you get a notification, which is a good reminder. If you're actually live, you're on the computer at the time, then you can take action and never forget. You know, so that's the news, the tech news. Right. Okay. We've got a Gloucester Services link in there as well.
It's got some nice pictures on the slider at the top that explain what we were trying to put into words.
Yeah. Now, our next topic is twinning. I'm lucky enough to be in Devisors in the UK, and we are twinned with Mayenne in France and Blabbing in Germany. And the principle of twinning is very simple and straightforward. Members of each association visit each other on a 3-year cycle. So this year it's our turn to go to Mayenne, and you stay with the house of a association member. So we stayed with Isabel, and we were joined by Zilka from Berlin, and a great weekend was had by all. Are you guys into twinning? Are you twinned? Or your town's twinned?
Our Stoke is twinned. I don't know who the hell with. I'm just looking now.
Twinned with someone. Can't remember who.
This gives you an indication, Stephen, of how much importance we put on it.
Yeah, I understand that. And it's one of those things that unless you've actually done it, I've frozen things up now. No, I haven't. My keyboard froze for a second. What was it? Wary.
Wikipedia's got a list of them all, as you'd expect.
Indeed, I'm just posting on
We are twinned with Cholet, Cholet, in France, and Main Taunus Kreis in Germany.
They do a wonderful job of actually keeping people in contact with each other, because we're effectively ambassadors for devisers, and it keeps in contact with the culture. I mean, the whole cost of the weekend, 4 days away, including all food and drinks, was £90.
Wow.
So basically that paid for the coach and the ferry, and then the hosting is paid for by the host, and the events are organised by the city or town council, so all the wine, everything, and food is provided throughout the stay.
We're twinned with Stoke-on-Trent is twinned with Erlangen in Deutschland.
Yeah. And it all started back in the 60s. I mean, we've been twins with Mayen since 1963, and with Weiblingen since 1967. So we celebrate 50 years next year in devisers. And Galip and I will be hosting a return visit with Isabel and Zilka. No, that's twinning. I'm not going to go on about it. It's one of those things that's sort of hidden. Really, because if you went and typed devisers twinning on the web, you'd find nothing.
When I worked for Stafford University,
Esther is twinned with Strasbourg. Topical.
When I worked for Staffordshire University, the sort of inter country relations were sort of very much sponsored by the European Union. So I did a fair bit of.
It feels like
winning with them.
I'm not allowed to speak about the election and things just now. It's like it's very hard to pick a subject just now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But you're twin with 6 towns, Peter.
We've got. I just looked them up on the internet. There's quite a few there. Obviously, Norway is one of them because of the oil, or no oil. So things. I think it was another 400 people in a way to get paid off in Aberdeen. So things are quite dire for some people, and it's all the local works that were non-oil affected that just keep going, just keep going, and if it comes back, fine. That's the way the things happen. Now, my news is I've got new product I'm using for solar panels. Yeah, and it got solar panels. So because pigeons are going underneath them and pecking underneath and causing problems. So that's something that we are doing. And
it's the future, Peter. And I saw a video.
Telephone. I'll just put.
I saw a video this morning talking about solar power, how in the future it's going to be really, really important and take over from fossil fuels. It's worth watching. But the main thing was about the sheer thinness of solar cells now. They are they're like the thickness of a human hair, and it's certainly an industry to be in. I reckon technology to be doing.
Indeed.
And speaking of technology, on a tangent, you're all aware of TED, the presentation. Well, there's a thing called TEDx, which is a sort of associates of TED, which tend to get run in geographical locations. And I'm at the moment talking to Stoke City Council about TEDx Stoke in 2017.
Oh, brilliant.
So it'll be interesting over the next year to see how they do it and how we get a great event, which obviously puts you on a world stage as well. So that's quite.
I think it's a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah. And as I said, I've heard such a lot about it and seen some brilliant presentations. And we actually, Sue and I went to see at the Odeon in the Trafford Centre the live opening of TED 2016 from Canada.
Yeah,
and it was fascinating to watch. And there were very moving presentations and some right out weird presentations, but it was really interesting to watch. And it'd be great if we can get Stoke on the map and get something going there.
Yeah.
And we seem to have lost Jon and Stephen, so we're talking amongst ourselves at the moment. Other things that I'm doing at the moment is we're developing a couple of mobile apps.
Oh, wow.
And we used, I just sort of put a job request out on a website called Upwork, I think it's called. And got loads of people interested in being our supplier, so to speak, for developing apps and what have you. And speaking to an American in about half an hour. He's getting up early, so it's all kicking off, which is really nice. And again, what difference will a no and a yes vote make to the work we're doing? Nothing, as far as I can tell.
Morning, Matt. Right, I've got an echo. Oh, it's gone again. We've had some fun this week. Sure. And Jon's back with us, and he's going to jump straight into the thing. Yeah, you just froze, Jon. You.
Oh, no, I had a blue screen of death.
Yes, you're back.
It actually died. I think it's overheating, actually.
Oh, right, okay.
Windows 10 or?
Sorry?
Windows 10 or better?
No, it's on 8. I think it's genuinely overheating. I think it's the fan's probably full of carpet fibres.
All right, okay.
It's time to take the side off and have a bit of a vacuum around.
How have you managed to stay on 8? How have you avoided being updated by stealth to Windows 10?
Whether you like it or not.
That'd be telling. If you find out, you'll find that there's a little patch, the XA849Z000 Windows Update patches. If you remove that patch, it ceases to tell you to upgrade.
Yeah. Talking of TEDx, which you were talking about a moment ago, but launching TEDx in Stoke in 2017. Baiju has just joined us, who did a TEDx recently, which he enjoyed doing, was very well received. So I would talk to, if you can see him on the right hand side.
Find him on the top of the.
Yeah, if you connect with Baiju, he's got the inside story of everything TEDx.
Okay,
he's been up on stage.
I followed him on Twitter.
And, Jon and I have known Baiju for a number of years. Right. Okay. We're getting an audience here. Now, big news of the week, tech-wise, was Microsoft buying. What did they buy? LinkedIn.
Yeah. $26 billion.
That's a lot of brass, isn't it?
You say it slowly. $26 billion for LinkedIn.
Yep. Morning, CJ. So that's a lot of money per user, isn't it?
500 million users, I think it was.
Yeah. So they're buying the users, obviously. Do you think
it's good news for Twitter, because they've been sort of looking for, well, not so much a way out, but they've been looking for investment, I'm sure, and it's bumped up their viability.
Yeah.
Paul, I can't remember how many Twitter users there are.
True. Paul has just said $65 a user. I don't know whether that's good or bad, really.
I think it's bloody amazing.
All right, thanks for the link, Jon, about stopping at Windows 10 updates. It shows. We've seen a consolidation, aren't we? Gradually, all of the small players, not LinkedIn were never a small player, but they've just been snaffled up. Now,
Microsoft.
Yeah, the thing is, you look at what's happened to Skype since Microsoft took it over.
Has anything happened to it?
Well, a couple of moments silence. I think nothing's happened to it. Nothing bad's happened to it. Nothing good's happened to it. You've got Skype for Windows, obviously, which is Skype.
Well, I'll tell you, I met a guy just recently who works for a very, very large oil company, and they are using it extensively, Skype for Business. They've done away with phones that you pick up.
Okay.
I'm talking big time. They've done away with the phones, and each person has got a virtual number. They want to give a virtual number, and they communicate through Skype now in the whole building, and their other buildings as well, to communicate. And they've really, really used it so much that he worked for them, helped set it up, that he's became a consultant for it and going and implement it into other places. So, big time. Yeah, I was quite, because I watched it in the beginning. I liked Skype, and in fact, I still used it this morning. And I just think it's a great piece of kit. And, they've really, really used it in corporate, because you get PBX exchange and everything with it, virtually and everything now. So yeah, good bit of kit.
Right. So Paul was just saying, effectively, it's good news for Microsoft Dynamics CRM and Office 365, because they're actually now have a market, a really big market to sell to. I mean, whose adverts will be on LinkedIn? Microsoft's, I would have thought, and Office, and they've got
Salesforce big on LinkedIn, or wanted to.
I'm not sure. But who is anybody a big LinkedIn user here?
No. I've started to use it more, and a guy called Paul Sloan and another guy called Philip Calvert. They get a lot of their work from LinkedIn, but what they say on their LinkedIn. I'm getting mine redone with someone, and
I'm going to drop that.
Use it extensively to get work.
Okay, see you later, Stephen.
Yeah. Right, I'll jump out. Right, there's a seat there for Biz Paul.
Right, come in, Paul. And okay.
Hello.
Good morning, Paul.
Morning.
All right. So Microsoft, LinkedIn, and what's your take?
Well, I do quite a lot of work with Microsoft CRM, and one of their strategies has always been, well, mainly to try and kill Salesforce. They're really trying to go after Salesforce. Not been hugely successful, I would say, but and that's mainly because Salesforce is still considered the leader. But they've been doing lots of little acquisitions on the side. They've got a thing called Field One. They've got a thing which is sort of mobile field engineers stuff. They've got something called ADX Studio now, which allows people to build web portals into a CRM system. So they're trying to find all these different businesses and products to add value to their Dynamics range. And what LinkedIn gives them is it gives them a huge amount of data, and it gives potentially their CRM users the ability to go and mine that data, to go and bring that professional data information back into CRM. So if you imagine that you're using Dynamics CRM and you've got, contact Stephen Healy and you're going to give him a ring, what do you do? Well, what you do is you go into Stephen's CRM record, and the LinkedIn data will show within CRM whether you've got an award, what posts you've posted about, what you've shared, what your company's doing, what promotion you've got, and then that CRM user starts that conversation with you, and you get really flattered because say, "Hi, Stephen, congratulations on that promotion," and you go, "Oh, brilliant, fine." So it gives them a lot of data. Now, I know from trying to get access to LinkedIn data for Thrive purposes that it's really difficult to get into that data. LinkedIn don't want or haven't wanted to give that data to anybody else other than their premium users. So the fact that Microsoft have bought it kind of gives Microsoft, I mean, you know, these are assumptions, but kind of gives Microsoft access to that data. And I can't see that they wouldn't still keep the exclusivity. So the reason to use Microsoft CRM would therefore be because of this data. It's just a more of a compelling reason. And that's why I think that they'll be using it to try and kill Salesforce. I just can't see that they would allow Salesforce access to that data. I mean, how valuable that data is depends on what your business is, right? Because if you're a florist, for example, how important is LinkedIn data? I don't think it's that important, but I think for a lot of businesses, it probably is.
Yeah, I mean, if you're B2C, then it's not as much as B2B. If you're selling to businesses, then it does become important.
But it's really valuable data, I think, the LinkedIn stuff. I mean, people do use LinkedIn quite a lot, and they use it in a different way to, say, Twitter or Facebook, for sure. But that B2B stuff, as you just said, is kind of been missing. But I think the other thing that it gives Microsoft, actually, it gives them the whole, lynda.com.
That's the courses site.
Yeah. Now, I just can't see why they wouldn't just put that into Office 365 and say, well, you've got access to this if you're on one of our Office 365 plans. And I think they're being really quite clever with Office 365, because every time I log into mine, there seems to be something new in there.
Right.
So anyway, that's what I think. Anyway,
I mean, as that helped get a picture. Which is brilliant. How many things were you using?
Yeah. Okay. We've got well, there's challenges all over the place, isn't there? I mean, the LinkedIn data and getting access to data is the thing that is the big thing that we suffer from, really. Because unless you've got access to some of this data, and the level of value that you can add becomes quite challenging. And the other thing is that actually things are moving really quite quickly on the social networking front. I mean, the way that Snapchat is being developed, that's kind of changing the market somewhat, and you can't get access to that data. Pinterest is now coming up on to the fore quite a lot, I would say. Some really interesting developments on the whole Pinterest side, with things like Pinterest audiences, and people are getting savvy to the use of infographics on Pinterest and using it in a different way. It's not just women in their 40s looking for cross stitch anymore. So things change very, very quickly. So we're trying to adapt to that, but we'll see. Data's so expensive. I mean, someone like Microsoft can go and buy LinkedIn.
Yeah, it is.
Whereas if we want access to Twitter data more than the public API, it costs thousands and thousands of pounds per month, which is money I haven't got.
It's prohibitive, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is in fact stopping innovation.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll if it's not careful, it will stop our innovation for sure, because I think we'll get to a point where you have to kind of take some key decisions, don't you, as to whether or not it's worth pursuing that. Where's your greatest return? So if things are prohibitive, then it just ends up being the big boys that can do that. But time will tell.
Indeed, and we live in interesting times on this very important day. John, your stories of the week.
I've got
the first time in weeks. Okay, right. Cheers, Paul. The first time in weeks, I remember to ask you before you say, "Can we talk about?" Nothing. Peter, help.
Right. Okay. Right. What do we talk about? Oh.
Well, not talk about cricket. I'm being fair to everybody.
Okay. What I'm after I've come back from Berlin. Yeah. I met the guy from Babel. Have you heard Babel?
Language learning.
Yeah. So I met the sales and marketing director when I was in Berlin. He was at the Toastmasters Club. So I'm trying to learn a bit of German again. And what else can I do? So I've come back and I've looked at 3 things that have actually been involved in my life because of the Berlin Wall. No?
Okay.
One was communications, a breakdown of communications in our tanks, which made me have a very, very good communications in my business.
Yeah.
Second one was an act of kindness. It was Christmas Day, and sitting in the guard room, I was on guard, had an army cheese sandwich or something from my dinner, and then a woman turned up with a car and took out freshly cooked Christmas dinner for each soldier, which was great. And the last one was I never thought the Berlin Wall would come down. So never give up. Never give up.
Never go. Indeed.
Yes,
Indeed.
that's the 3 things. So I'm working on a speech for that. That's what I'm doing.
I'm going to concentrate on my French and German for next year. I always say that after twinning, so that I'll be better next year. But there was, we're about to depart on the morning of departure, Monday morning. My host Isabel introduced me to the conductor of the Weibringen Orchestra, which is a 70-strong youth orchestra, and they want to come over to Devizes next year, which means we've got to find 70 people to house them, sort of thing. And he was asked. He asked Isabel, "Does Stephen speak French?" And Isabel's reply was, "A little." So I speak a little French. I have it officially from Isabel. So I need to increase my French as well. If anybody wants to join us on camera, you're more than welcome to do so. We're just chatting. We'll be recording for a couple of minutes, and then we'll switch the recording off, and we'll just chill. When I do switch the recording off, please stay. We're not going anywhere for a few minutes at least.
That's the name of a song, Please Stay. Did you know that?
Sorry?
Please Stay, that's the name of a song.
Ah.
Remember it? John, do you remember it?
No, I don't think so.
If I got down on my knees. Remember it now?
You just want to be recorded. That was recorded, Peter, you know it was.
All right.
Where's the coffee? What's this week's coffee?
I've moved on. I think I showed you my new coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
These are quite good. So they're espressos. Yeah. That's them. Because Costa never sent me a voucher like I was said they would do. So there you go. Product placement.
Right. Okay. That's our advert of the week. Oh dear. Right. Well, I think if nobody wants to come on here, and I'm not going to force anybody or name anybody, but if you want to just press the calling button, you can. It's a chance to try things out. Other than that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this week, and Nasim from Italy, and Paul from up north. Not north, I mean Nottingham, John?
Loughborough.
Loughborough, yes, the Midlands. And Stephen. And so, for recording wise, Midlands, yes, I know it well. I used to live in Stoke. I don't mind you. Right. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to being back here next Thursday, 10 o'clock on Blab. Things have gone reasonably well today, and it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And
we were blue screening of death again for a second there.
Okay. And Peter.
Goodbye, folks.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to switch recording off, and we'll see you next week.